One thing that really creams my corn, among many things, in this gaming community is the sentiment from certain PC gamers that console gamers shouldn't care about frame rate or resolution, and that if they do care, they should be gaming on PC. Now, recently, Black Bond made a video in which he talked about console gamers who buy remasters are hypocrites because they, meaning the console gamers, say that they don't care about frame rate or resolution, and then they go and buy a remastered version of a game with a better frame rate and resolution, right? And I have a number of problems with this. First off, I want to deal with this sentiment that console gamers shouldn't care about frame rate or resolution. Why? Did I miss the memo on this? I didn't get my official, gamers guideline book. Why can we not care about frame rate or resolution? I think if a console gamer is obsessed with frame rate and resolution, that could be a problem, and perhaps maybe that gamer is better off going over to PC and dealing with the stuff that goes along with PC. But why should any console gamer? Why shouldn't I care about frame rate and resolution, Bond? Think about it. It used to be every console generation we looked forward to the next step in graphics, the next new thing. I mean, back in the Super NES days, I remember it was scaling and rotation and things like that. And every generation, we want things to improve. And this generation, I'm sure there'll be other improvements, but one thing we do want to see is full HD, and we would like, as much as we can, to get a boost in frame rate if we can, to get that higher performance. And so, yeah, the last gen, we had a lot of games that were mostly either native 720p or in some cases sub HD, and most of them were 30 frames. There were some games that ran in 60 frames, like some of the Ratchet and Clanks, all the Call of Duties, Rage. There's a few others, but my point is that the majority of games were kind of 720p 30 was the standard. Well, a lot of people feel like, okay, this generation, 1080p 60 should be the standard. Now, it's not always the case. Games like Dying Light run at 30 frames, and there's a number of other games, Destiny, And just to speak on it personally, the way I look at it is this. I want them to at least be hitting that 900p native. Obviously, it's all going to be upscale, but I want them to at least hit that 900p. I don't want to see games running in native 720p anymore. A lot of people have bigger TVs now. We're not in the 7th gen anymore. And yeah, I do want to see a higher resolution in my games. Like I said, it doesn't have to be native 1080p, but, I don't want to be seeing 720. 60 frames, it depends on the game. Some games, I think, benefit from it more than others, but I do want to see stable frame rates. If it's 30 frames, I don't want it dipping down in 19 frames, at certain spots, or really dipping down low, and because that affects performance for me. Now, obviously, a PC gamer will say, well, anything below 60 affects performance. Well, fine, that you're entitled to your opinion. That's how you choose to game. But I'm saying for somebody like me, I'm okay with 30 frames if that 30 frames is solid. If it's not dropping down, really low into the teens, or even into the low 20s. If it's doing that a lot, that does get annoying. I don't understand why I, as a gamer, now that we're into another generation, why can't I care about a game's resolution or frame rate? But the other thing is I want to address this issue of the remasters, okay? And this is I'm almost sick of talking about this. But the remasters, Bond, it's not just about getting the better version of the game. For me, for instance, I just bought the Borderlands Handsome Collection. It's because I love Borderlands. And for me, specifically with that version, I never played any of the DLC on Borderlands 2, and I've never played Borderlands, the pre-sequel. So right there is a reason to get it. And it's about bringing a game from the last-gen library into the new library, I think, for a number of people. That's really what it boils down to for me, and I can't speak for everyone, but I'm sure there's other people that agree with me. But this notion that console gamers shouldn't care at all about frame rate or resolution, to me, is silly and short-sighted, and it comes, I think, a little bit from that elitist mentality. Bond, every generation we expect standards to go up, we expect games to look better, etc. Most of us have, 40-plus inch TVs now. I have a 46-inch Samsung. Just to put that into perspective, when I got my PS3 and when I got my Xbox 360, which were pretty close together, was back in late 2007 and then early 2008, okay? I had a 32-inch 720p TV. Okay, and I had that for several years. It's only in the last few years that I got, then I got a 40-inch, and now I have a 46. So the point is that bigger screen size, you start to see all the defects and things like jaggies and stuff like that. But when you're sitting on a couch 6-7 feet back, etc., a 32-inch TV, you don't see all that stuff, but on a 46, you do. So that resolution does make a big difference. I mean, I'll tell you right now, Borderlands 2 in 1080p, it definitely makes a difference between, that and the 720p version. So anyway, I'm rambling at this point, but that's it. I think if you're obsessed as a console gamer and all you care about is frame rate and resolution, and you're bragging about, let's say, one console having a better frame rate and resolution over the other one, yeah, you're better off on PC if you're going to be that obsessed about it. But that we shouldn't expect things like that to get better, to me, is silly. There's no written rule that says you can't both be a console gamer and expect resolutions and frame rates perhaps to get better. And that's it, guys. I'm rambling, so talk to you later. Bye-bye.